right, ladies and gentlemen, the next topic we have is National Socialism and the dictatorship of Adolf Hitler. Uh, so we are in Germany. First, we have to speak about Hitler himself, how he became a party leader, about the party and how they grasped power, and what was this dictatorship like. So first of all, we should start with the Führer. But before he became the Führer, you must remember that the name Führer means leader in German. I'm going to speak about it later. Well, he was an Austrian origin person. He was born in the Austro-Hungarian monarchy in 1889, and he was an average or below average student, and he very soon left school. This is an early picture of Adolf Hitler, and very soon it turned out that he cannot follow the pattern what family wanted him to follow. He wanted to be an artist. He was interested in painting and architecture. He had some talent, but he was not outstanding, we have to admit. He couldn't get in the Vienna Academy of Arts. He wanted to be a Viennese artist, but actually he failed both times. He wanted to get admission. There was a failure, and he had serious financial problems. And in the Vienna years, he met German nationalism and nationalists, and his political ideology started to be formed in the Vienna years. What happened? Of course, he was a young person in his 20s when the First World War broke out, and he didn't want to be a fighter of the monarchy. He wanted to be a German fighter, so he made some tricks, and he was not called to be a soldier in in Austria, and he could manage that he became a German soldier. And this German soldier had important tasks in the World War. This picture shows him in this big mustache as a soldier. He was fighting for his Germany. He was fighting for his nation. Carried messages in the war, and it was a dangerous and important task. He got injured and he was awarded of bravery after the war, but you should remember that just like others, he was really disappointed after the war. This is one of his paintings. He loved this kind of landscape paintings, and as I told you, he was interested in architecture. This is one of his paintings again about the Vienna Opera House. This is quite a good painting, like the details of the building can be seen very well. So what happened? After the war, let's talk about nationalism grew in Germany in the 20s. So we are in the 20s, and after the World War I, the disappointed soldiers and young people, they were unemployed. They didn't find their places in the society, just like in fascist Italy, of course. And the democratic system had not many supporters, but this Weimar Republic was born with a coalition government. It was not satisfactory for a lot of people. So there were several radical movements, like communists and nationalists both. So many types. And in the 20s, Germany wanted to pay the reparation. They had serious territorial losses and lost the German people as well by the border changes. And one of this radical movement was the NSDAP, National Socialist German Workers' Party. This is the English version. This is the abbreviation of the German name, but we use this. In the 1920s, this was a very small party, and they had their own paramilitary unit. So it was not only a political party, but there was a kind of militaristic group, the SA, Sturmabteilung, in English stormtroopers, just like in Star Wars. But this paramilitary unit was really frightening for left-wing politicians and such, but to tell the truth, they were really small. The first place, when NSDAP did something important was in 1923, the beer hall putsch. We are in Munich, and this was an unsuccessful attempt. These people with Hitler, they wanted to grasp local power in Munich, seize the power, but he was arrested. Hitler himself and his circle, they were imprisoned, so the Weimar Republic was not in danger. This was a small action, but he was already part of the nationalist wing. This is a picture when he got free after the prison. What happened in the prison? Well, in the prison he started working on his ideology. He wrote the Mein Kampf in the prison. This is called My Struggle in Hungarian. And he became the leader of the party. Of course, he gave the ideological basis of Nazism in this work, in the Mein Kampf. And he already used the swastika, the sign which he used in the party. And this is a social and nationalist demagogy. So social, helping wide layers, poor people, and at the same time strictly nationalist. They believed in giving easy answers for problems. They wanted to promise jobs for workers and stop the bourgeois exploitation, so the very rich people. And of course they wanted to give land to the peasants. He's writing about this transformation in the Mein Kampf. He wanted a compensation for all war losses. What does that mean? The German people had a lot of losses during the First World War, so he said that the Versailles Peace Treaty is unjust and revisionism is needed, so the peace treaty must be destroyed and must be redone, and the borders must be put back to normal and such. He's also talking about the idea of Lebensraum, Eastern living space theory. This is the living space theory that he said that German people must get their new lands to the east, to the territory of Poland and Ukraine and Russia. So this is the Eastern living space theory. This is why Germany wanted to, Hitler wanted to get Eastern territories. It is also written down that he had a racist theory. We call it master race theory. He said that the Germans are Übermensch. These words are really important. Please remember them. Übermensch means that Germans are superior to others. So the superiority of Germans. They are called the Aryans. We also call this theory Aryan race theory. You can use both. What does that mean? The Germans, like in this picture, must be this type of Germans are the Aryans with blonde hair, blue eyes, and they are tall and muscular people. So the Germans are like that. He also talked about the inferiority of other nations. So other nations are not strong enough. Strongest nation will survive. He uses the idea of Darwin about the evolution idea. Darwin says that during the evolution, the weakest species cannot survive. So this is why the weakest nations cannot survive. Only the Übermensch, the Germans, can survive. It also focuses on the Jews. There was very strict anti-Semitism in his ideology. Anti-Semitism means that he hated and wanted to annihilate the Jews. This was a central idea, and the Jews could be blamed for all the problems of Germany or the grievances of the German people. And it was clear for him that communists are Jews, and at the same time bourgeoisie is also Jewish people, so the Jews are the major problems. This is why they lost the war, and in the Mein Kampf it is clearly written down that the Jewish people must be taken away from Germany. So this is the ideological background. How he grasped power. Well, by democratic elections, and this is very frightening. So he used very harsh propaganda and demagogy in the 20s. The press, posters, and radio and TV was all used by Adolf Hitler to get the power. Also, the violent movement of the SA was used. In the streets, left-wing people were beaten, and they had their uniform, the brown shirts. Of course, this was a copy from Mussolini's black shirts, but they used brown shirts. They were in order, frightened people. They also used mass rallies. People met in huge crowds, and Hitler was speaking in front of people. He was a great talent of speaking. He traveled by plane to meet lots of followers. The problem was that in 1929 the Great Depression came, and there were serious problems in Germany. People died of famine, and everyone lost jobs. So serious unemployment and bankruptcy. And this gave possibility to an extreme party like the NSDAP, the Nazi party, to win. So promised everything. More and more members, more and more people joined this party. And by 1932, when there was the serious depth of the Great Depression, half of Germans voted for an extreme party, let it be communists or nationalists. But Hitler won the elections, and in 1933 he became the strongest party in Germany, and the strongest party leader became the Chancellor of Germany. It was Hindenburg. He appointed him. I'm going to show you a picture. So he won democratic victory. He won democratic elections. What he did was actually making democracy disappear. How? By the Enabling Act, felhatalmazási törvény, was passed by the Reichstag, the German parliament, and he could do anything. Became a single-party dictatorship. Germany depended on one person, one party. This became a totalitarian state, which means that all fields of life were affected. And also he became president too in 1934 because Hindenburg, the president who had appointed him, died. In the next picture you see himself. This person was a national hero in Germany. This is why he was president. He was a hero of the First World War, greatest fighter ever. This is why after the war he was the president of Germany. And then, actually, he hated Hitler. He knew that Hitler wouldn't be a good leader for Germany. But he had to appoint him because of the election winning. So this is the picture when Hitler became Chancellor. Now we got the power, we have clear victory. Let's talk about the dictatorship as it was. This was a totalitarian state, so they abolished the constitutional state. Dictatorship was introduced. All parties, associations, movements were banned, which were not in connection with the Nazis. So now we are talking about Nazi state. Churches were controlled. They created the Hitlerjugend, for example. Those young people, so young people joined this and they became perfect Nazis when they grew up. Totalitarian dictatorship means all fields of life was affected. All power concentrated in Hitler's hands, so this is why I'm talking about Führer doctrine. He liked to be called the Führer, the leader of the nation, and this is why it spread and the whole society knew who the Führer was. The SA, the old paramilitary unit of the of the NSDAP was dangerous for him because it was too big, actually more than 3 million members, so it was not controllable and they had some different goals. The leadership of the SA was not like Hitler, so he created a pogrom against them. In 1949, the Night of Long Knives is when during one night all the leaders of SA were arrested. This is when the SS was created, his personal army, the elite army of the Germans, and the Gestapo, of course, which was the secret police, just like the NKVD or KGB in Germany, in the Soviet Union. Anti-Semitism was still a central topic. There was mass rallies and the Nuremberg party rallies, pogroms. Jewish people were hunted. 1935, in the Nuremberg laws, they were deprived of citizenship, so they were not Germans anymore, just living there. So they were the enemies of the system. And in 38, 3 years later, the Crystal Night, just one night, there was a national pogrom against Jewish people. It was state organized. All the shop windows were broken, and this is why they were like crystals in the morning. There were also mass rallies, I told you. There was indoctrination, teaching the people the propaganda. Arts also supported the propaganda. There were monumental buildings. Berlin itself was redesigned by artists Hitler loved, and they wanted to create a new national capital for the Third Reich, I mean the Third Empire. They called themselves Holy Roman Empire, then United Germany in the 19th century, and now this is the third one. This is why they said Third Empire. He organized 1936 Olympic Games. It was a fantastic success. It was very well designed, very well organized event, and the world loved how Hitler made it. This is a Nuremberg party rally with soldiers and people. Also, huge amount of people in one place. How he handled the crisis. There was an economic recovery, because when he got the power in 33, the crisis was going down, but nobody knew that. So he actually applied the same things as the New Deal in Roosevelt's America. State intervention came in economy, and state became investor. They invested in infrastructure. They developed a lot of motorways, roads, everything. And of course, they also invested in rearmament of the country, which was absolutely against the Versailles Peace Treaty, because their military units were maximized in a given number, 100,000 soldiers. But he didn't care of that, and there was military industry. So these fields, infrastructure and military industry, didn't create new products. They just gave a lot of jobs to people. And these investments didn't produce, that's what I said, overproduction was stopped. And he also introduced social benefits, paid holidays, insurance, everything. This was never seen in Germany. And what is the result? As you see, unemployment was solved, production grew, there was total employment, everyone had a job, and an army was growing, which became the biggest in Europe, and Germany solved the crisis. As you see in the last line, Hitler became the savior of the nation because he could fix the economic problems as well, so he became a hero of the nation. This is how he strengthened his power. This is the Munich Olympic Games poster. He is viewing soldiers. This is where the Autobahn, the German motorway, was given to the people. It was opened. It's the same motorway you are going in Germany actually. And Hitler and indoctrination, propaganda, work, the worker of Hitler. This is what people have to understand, that with really hard work they get everything. They are superior. So this is what we have to know about National Socialism.